So the topic of this evening, holy gas prices, Batman. Hold right here while I crack a beer. Oh my, holy hell. Hope y'all are having as lovely of a day as I am, or night, or whatever. I know that sitting here in the middle of midnight, me going live streaming at midnight, like nobody gives a fucking fly rat's ass. Nobody wants to watch this. So that's all good. I'm just going to sit there and put out there and explain to a few folks exactly why I think. I just spent $46 to go get a pack of smokes. Now, in case you were wondering, that's 6 gallons of gasoline in a pack of Southern cut. Uh, 6 gallons of gasoline in a pack of Southern cut. It used to be that cost me about like 25, 20, $26. Not 10 years ago. You know, it reminds me of a story from World War II. More of a propaganda piece, really, that actually happens, but there's it started from something, okay? And I know y'all have seen this little political cartoon where there's the feller with the wheelbarrow full of rice smarks, and he can't afford a loaf of bread. In case you haven't noticed, in America, we base pretty much everything on the price of gasoline. And there's a reason behind that. Gasoline makes up 40% of every barrel of crude that is refined. Uh, so by that baseline of a number, you could turn around and suppose, make a supposition on exactly where the economy is setting on the price of gasoline, because everything else moves on diesel or gasoline or LPG, but they all come from the same source. I just went and I was shopping for a quick second to try and find these prices, because here at my local gas station, it's $5.35 for regular, a gallon. Not $5.35 for regular for a tank. $5.35 a gallon. Now, I understand that might seem a little bit low to some of the folks that live in California. Y'all, there is several reasons I left that place, but I'll just reiterate this to you again. I live in Oregon. I live 25 miles outside of fucking Portland. So I'll make this abundantly clear to y'all. When I'm finding cheaper gasoline 5 miles outside of Portland than I am a mile and a half from my house, and I live out in the country, out in the sticks, out in the woods, it starts to make you think. But that pales by comparison to what I just spent yesterday on ground beef. On fucking ground beef. I have never seen $8 a pound for ground fucking beef. $8. $8 for this shit. For one of these. This is a pound of ground beef. This ain't the fancy shit that's in the freaking the saran wrap packaging neither. This is the tube of goob that you don't know what's in it. This might be some freaking fungi. $7.99 a pound. So when I says that gasoline prices dictate how the economy is doing, I ain't joking. I nearly fell over looking at the price of meat. Now I understand, it's going to be a little, it's all the bullshit that surrounds this fucking state. I don't want to tear nobody a new asshole, but it bears doing at this point. What the fuck is going on? If we are the number one, or rather, even number two oil producer in the fucking whole world, why is it that gas prices, when we're fighting in the Middle East over, Iran and their bullshit, who's one of our main competitors, why would our gas prices go up? I know that I'm not the only person with economic sense here. I know I'm not the only person who's sitting here going, that don't make no fucking sense. So, as a for instance, I went and I bought some copper the other day because I needed to go and get, I'm doing for my projects and whatnot. It's $45 fucking for a 25-foot coil. Copper. Do you wonder now why we don't have pennies? Heaven forbid, I try to get the silver that I need, because for this project I need silver-plated copper, but that's neither here nor there. The craziest shit, and I mean the absolute craziest shit I've seen in years. This is even, if I look back at what I was paying for, just ribeye tenderloin, what were it, 10 years ago now? Not even that. Not even 10 years ago. I was paying $50 for a full-size loin. I'd cut that up into steaks, right? You know how much a tenderloin is now? I had a heart attack. I looked at the price and I fell over. And I mean that. I actually had to hold myself up on the fucking goddamn cart through the rest of the damn grocery store. It is $115 for that same fucking tenderloin now. I'm sorry, but you cannot at all tell me that our economy is doing great. I'm sorry, but I'm allergic to bullshit. You're going to end up making me sneeze so hard I can't listen to you. So I'm going to be fair and square with y'all. Whoever the fuck is out there sitting there says, oh, well, Trump's a great person and all this fun shit, you are in denial. And I know I just pissed off a whole bunch of people saying that. Mind you, I was never for or against Mr. Trump. And I never will be for or against Mr. Trump. He is one person in the cog of a fucking machine. Something's broken in that motherfucking machine. I'll put it this way. Driving back from town, looking at the dials on my truck. I switched on my brights, and all the dials started following each other. Miles per hour would go up, revs would go up, gasoline would go up, charge on my freaking battery would go up, pressure on the oil would go up, temperature would go up. I'd slow down, and with that same speed, everything would go down. In unison. Now, I don't know if you know this, but your dials aren't supposed to all read the exact same increase and drop on any vehicle. And that tells me that there's something wrong with my truck. There's something broken in it. And I recognize that there is something broken in that machine. And so now I do not trust that machine. And folks are sitting there telling me, well, why don't you vote? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because there's something broken in the machine. Do you trust a gun that has shown you that it's about to blow the fuck up? Do you trust a system, a computer, for that instance? Do you trust a computer after it starts glitching the fuck out? I know I don't. I have this kind of thing where I can't just look away. I can't just see things that aren't fucking there, or see things that are there not being there. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, anybody who is actively paying attention is going to sit there and kick themselves in the ass because they're, you know, when they see this other shit, like, oh, well, Trump's the greatest, this, that, and the other. Hold up a fucking second. Trump might be the greatest, great. But it doesn't fucking matter when the machine is broken. It's just like with me and my truck. I can fucking drive like a badass son of a bitch. I've been driving since I was 5. Shit, I used to sit on top of a fucking telephone book in order to freaking sit there and see over the dashboard and do donuts in the back 40. And that's not a lie either. That's real shit. That doesn't make me the baddest fucking driver at 5 years old doing donuts in the back 40. But nowadays, with having so much experience, I'm a pretty fucking good driver. Even though I'm that good of a driver, that doesn't mean fuck all if I don't have a machine that I can rely on. If that machine isn't working correctly, it doesn't matter if I'm driving a freaking Lamborghini or I'm driving a bicycle. I can't tell how fast I'm going. I can't tell whether I'm going too slow for everybody else's liking. I can't tell if I'm doing the speed limit. I can't tell if my freaking motor's about to blow up on me. Why? Because there's a problem with the machine. The dials aren't reading correctly. And that comes back right to what is happening now with our economy. The dials aren't reading correctly for the information that we're getting. Something's wrong. And I beg people to pay attention. I don't give a flying rat's ass. You like Trump, you don't like Trump, you don't like this administration, you like this administration. You got political this, that, or the other. You got political whatevers. You got aspirations to be some super, ooper, duper dude. I don't give a flying rat's ass. Because at the end of the day, the reality is, there is something wrong with the machine that we are all cogs in. Now, would you rather be destroyed because the machine is fucked up? Or would you rather be the cog that gets spat out of the machine? Me personally, I'd rather be spat out the machine. I've seen way too much in my life to ever sit there and be like, all right, things look bad, but I trust my government. Jesus wept. I can't believe I said that. Nobody should ever trust someone else to have their best interest at heart. I have said this till I was blue in the face. I will keep on repeating it because it bears repeating. Nobody is coming to your fucking rescue. You are on your own. And you have to start acting like it. You are the third monkey trying to get on the goddamn Noah's Ark, and motherfucker, it's starting to rain, or have you not noticed? This is my point. We all just let it happen and let it wash over us. This country has been taking advantage of that for the past 40 fucking years. 40 years. Not the last 2 or 3. 40. Longer than I've been alive. People vote and they says, oh, well, I didn't vote for that. You know how many people are just like you, did not vote for that? In fact, voted against it, in fact? As a point of pride, most human beings that are your peers here in the United States are not stupid. Left, right, center, doesn't fucking matter. They are not stupid. They're not sitting there voting for this crap to be the case. They just recognize that they don't have any power over it. So it's better to be part of the winning side. Of course, nobody knows which side's going to win. I have my suspicions, and my suspicions are the American people are going to finally get fed up at some point in time. I don't know when, and I don't know how to actually put a finger on the time. But I do know they're going to get fed up to the point where if a politician says something, it's going to be fucking ignored. And when police try to enforce it, they're going to find that it's a hard take for them. If they try to enforce it. Most of them actually won't because they're not shitbirds. Funny enough, most human beings out there are not evil motherfuckers. And now you might look at me and be like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, I do. I actually do. I do know what I'm talking about. And it really bothers me that people sit there and they go, oh, well, human beings are just horrible creatures. I've seen some of the most kind-hearted things come from humans. I've seen some of the most selfless acts in this world come from humans. Not dogs, not cats, not horses, not birds. Fucking birds. Jesus wept. Not birds. None of it. Humans. The most selfless acts. And this is coming from one of the most selfish creatures on the planet. So you have to ask yourself, are the people around you actually that dismally bad? Or is it a select few who make everyone look bad? And it's one in every crowd. You know, it reminds me of a song that I used to listen to quite a bit. There's one in every crowd. You know, Montgomery Gentry. There's one in every crowd that brings the party in us out. Well, there's also one in every crowd that brings the asshole in us out. And apparently there's more than one in some circles. You know, not all politicians are pieces of shit. Not all. The majority. Because that's what politics attracts, is people who are incredibly selfish and self-serving and only interested in personal political career. That's what normally is attractive as being a politician. Now, other politicians, the ones that I'm actually sitting there talking about and saying, well, these aren't the dastardly people you think of. They are few and far in between. Don't get me wrong. But I understand that there are also politicians who are genuinely trying to do their jobs and are getting fucked repeatedly because they do their job. You know what the worst part of it is? I'm at this close to being a man without a nation. Because the nation I was born into, the nation I grew up in, the nation that I was willing to defend, and the freedoms and liberties that we all hold dear and take for granted, those are almost gone. And when I say almost gone, I mean some of us have already seen that the nation that we grew up in is gone in its entirety. So the rest of us, we grew up in the turning point of all of that. And we learned that it can get worse. It can also be better. But it only gets better if we work towards it. If we all put in, we all make an effort. I mean, here as I am, you know, what the fuck am I going to be able to do? I can't go and just, you know, pull a rabbit out of my ass. Nobody can. There's no such thing as all of a sudden I'm the hero and here's all the miracles. Nobody can do that on their own. I want to make this abundantly clear because everybody that sits there and says, well, Trump's going to save us, you are betting everything on a fantasy. There is no such thing as one singular hero, not even in fantasy novels. There's multiple heroes. Heroes and heroines. There's many of them. Sometimes the villains become the heroes. And we get so easily drawn into this thought process of, oh, this one person's going to save us all, so we don't have to put in the work. I don't know if you notice this, but I have to put in quite a bit of work to have the things I like, to have nice things, you know? Like, for instance, my guns, black powder. That's 6 weeks of work. That is 6 fucking weeks of work. Now you might think, oh, dude, that's not a lot there. How would that be 6 weeks of work? You must be fucking just sitting on your hands. Allow me to point out that when I'm making powder, only a small amount of it becomes 3F. This is 4F. This is 4F. That much 4F for that much 3F. It's a lot of fucking work for what you want. This translates across the board again. As if you're not willing to put in the work, but you're still expecting to get things that you don't deserve because you've got some super fantastical hero who's going to just give it all to you. Newsflash. Never meet your heroes. I mean, I work my ass off. I am a poor motherfucker. And when I say poor, I maybe spend a grand total of about $500 a month. How much do y'all spend a month? And then look at your income and tell yourself, I'm rich. My income is above my deficit, and yet I'm poor. Is your income above your deficit? Food for thought. Damn, that's good beer. I try to enjoy beer, not sit there and chug it like you see in the freaking movies. It's a whole bunch of horse shit. Anybody who chugs beer is an animal. Anyways, I'm sitting here just trying to fathom how we have fallen so far as a nation, as a people. I mean, I get, yeah, I had to drive away in the middle of the night because that's when I'm awake. Okay. To go get a pack of smokes. I had to drive 45 minutes out of my way to go get a pack of smokes because the local gas station was closed. And everything else in the town is closed at that point in time. So if the gas station is closed, everything is fucking closed. But, you know, I went down the hill, that gas station was still open, and was able to get my pack of smokes. For the doubters in the crew, yes, I do smoke. And that's actually my favorite blend. Why is that my favorite blend? For one reason. My grandmama, she used to smoke Winston's and drink Black Velvet. And the smell that she had, you know, aside from the old people soap sort of smell that you always get, but the smell that she had about her is exactly the same as the flavor of these cigarettes. It's one of those, kind of days, you know? The things that I cling to keep me sane, to keep me wanting to be a good person, they're being whittled away. You know, the bits and bobs of my life that I look at and say, well, it's okay. I still got a reason to smile, put one foot in the front of the other, and move forward. Those things are being ripped away piece by piece by piece. And when that is your day to day, I don't know how else to put it other than it takes more than a man to do that. To sit there and take it and just keep going. So if you're in that boat, if you're dealing with that sort of same situation, you are more than a man or more than a woman. Angels like us don't get to have. We have to suffer. So just remember that when things turn around and get better, try to have been one of the ones that earned it. I mean, I know I do. It doesn't seem like it to everybody. I've seen that from a lot of folks. They look at me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an evil person. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm an evil person. That's why when my brother said, dude, my dog's about to have puppies. Do you want a puppy? And I said, no, I don't want to have a dog. And he said, well, all right, but I just thought I'd come to you first because all of this, that, and the others. And I want to at least, the people I'm selling these dogs to, I don't know if they're going to keep a hold of them or any of them are going to end up in the pound or what. And I was like, all right, fine. I wouldn't do that to a dog, and you know it. And I guess that's why you called me. Yeah, I'll take the dog. Honest God truth. Houdini wasn't a mistake, and he wasn't someone I chose. There's somebody that was quite literally forced into my life. And I love him to death. I fight with his ulterior motives every day. I try to keep him honest, which is a hard thing to do with a dog. Especially one as smart as Houdini is. I mean, I've told people, the reason why he got the name Houdini is because he crawled out of his mom's paddock, which was a caged-in, fenced-in area, and into his dad's paddock, really a crate, which was caged, fenced in, all of that, and made it inside, which I have no idea how he did it. We pulled him out of there. I pulled him out of there, actually. Funny enough, Ronan was a fairly aggressive dog. Of course, I mean, what do you expect? He was a former war dog, one of the few repatriated war dogs there is. And so, of course, he's going to be a little bit aggressive. I understand that. It's like, hey, dude, I'm not trying to be, but I need to get that puppy out of there before you kill him or something. And he just let me get him. Dogs are really, really intelligent. When people say, oh, well, no, it's just a dumb dog, man. No. That dog was taught by a dumb owner. That dog was taught by a dumb human. There's a difference. When you understand dogs like I do, You recognize there's a time for pain, there's a time for pleasure, there's a time for joy, there's a time for reprimand. And you have to know the difference. You can't just let a dog go fucking run around and run the world, because if the dog runs the world, it gets to make decisions on whatever the fuck it wants to do. And hey, guess what? It doesn't matter if you're 3 years old or you're 30 years old. You're older than that puppy. Just saying, you know? It's not the dog, it's the dude. And yeah, my dog barks at the neighbor dogs all the fucking time. Sometimes goes over and tries to kill him for coming through the damn fucking fence. That's not his fault. I taught him, protect the yard, protect the house. This is your home. He understands that. It's not his fault that the dogs next door want to come through the fence. It's not his fault that the neighbor next door doesn't ride herd on their dogs. As a matter of fact, they rely on me to be aggressive with him. They don't rely on them holding their dogs accountable, thinking, wait a minute, my dogs are smart. You know what? If you don't think that your dogs are smart, go find somebody who knows that they are. Give them your dogs. Because they will actually put in the time. They will put in the effort to teach the dogs morality, to teach the dogs to be mannered. My dog's got manners. I don't know if you noticed this, but he's not beating down the back door. He's standing right fucking there, and I can see him. He's not beating down the door. He's just standing there waiting. Because he wants me to go out there with him. And I will. I had to say something because gas prices. People blindly sitting there and praising someone who has absolutely no fucking control over it. He's at the fucking whims of everybody else in their entourage. So happens he surrounded himself with some good people. Some, not all, but some. And again, this comes down to no president is an island, no man is an island. This is why it's a United States, not just the states. It's united for a reason. Whether or not you and I can get along, whether or not any of that is the case, we can withstand each other enough to be able to work on a common goal. That is what united means. I could fucking hate your guts, but if we're both trying to pull a fucking pillar of stone off of some trapped poor individual, we can put our shit aside for a few minutes while we help that person. I know I can. And if I can, anybody can. Especially with how anal I am. You know, just things that blow my mind about society lately. Holy fucking gas prices, Batman. You know? Holy fucking food prices, Batman. You seen the price of freaking milk lately? I mean, holy shit. When I bought a gallon of milk, it cost me $20. What the fuck? A 6-pack of beer is $12.99, but a gallon of milk, $25. $21.33. Whatever. Fuck is that fucking receipt? No, that's the Tyler's Automotive. Not in there. Here. All right. Nope. No, that's for my chickens and whatnots. Dog food. $49.68. So it went up $2. Since I last bought it, it was $47. For 2 ducks, $6 a pop. For flea collar, it's $15. Fuck how that got in there. Anyway, what the hell else am I? Not in that pocket. In that pocket. All right, seriously? I must have stuck it in my truck. Yeah, they must be in my truck. But anyways, as I was saying, the prices of things have gone outrageous, but certain things have stayed the same as 10 years ago. My case in point. $12.99. Hasn't changed for 5 years that I've been here. Well, no, I take that back. It used to be $11.99. Now it's $12.99. For a short time, it went up to $14.99 during the the Biden thing. Went up to $14.99. Dropped back down to $12.99. But through it all, the price of milk has done nothing but increase. See, back before, when I first got here, the price of milk was about $3.98 for a gallon of milk, whole milk. And then it went up to $6.38. And then it went up to $8 and some odd cents. I can't remember, something like 60 something. Now it's, I don't know how the fuck it went from $8 to $23. But it was $23 for a freaking gallon of milk. I don't know how the fuck to point this out to you any more succinctly than something is wrong with the machine. and you need to stop trusting the machine. For me, like I said, with those dials on my truck, the moment they start doing funny shit, I stop trusting the machine and I start trusting my driving skills way more. The same thing should be happening for you right now. The machine that we all live as part of, there's something wrong with it. Everybody knows it, but not everybody is actually putting more faith in themselves than in the machine. That should scare you. Anyways, you crack a beer, sit right here, chill around. Have a good time, I guess, for the rest of the fucking stream or whatever. If you guys want to do like the Freedom Forum chat thing, go ahead. Open it up for the chat. I don't know how to do the invite somebody up, or I'd have someone, I'd let, one of my trusted folks come up. But, yeah. So, enjoy yourselves. I will probably keep it running for another 10, 15 minutes. And then we'll see where it is there. But, yeah, we're about 45 minutes, so about an hour. If nobody's having fun, then we can cut this off. I'm sitting here having a beer and honestly wondering, if it would just be better if we just fucking drop nukes on Iran and then, let the fucking world burn. Let them fall on our heads and be like, okay, is what it is. Fuck it. Here's to all you gnarly bastards that got us through fucking World War II and all that fun shit. God bless you. We're on our way. Quite literally. Because if you guys think for a second that this shit's gonna fucking go and tamp down and get cooler and the shit's not gonna heat up and crazy shit's not gonna start fucking getting worse, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna help you live in your delusion, but I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, enjoy yourself. So. Oh, hey, is anybody out there hiring a air gunsmith? I'll bite. As a for instance, I just rebuilt my 50 cal again. And here's why. That is a seal for my 50 caliber air rifle. And you might notice something about the rubber here. It's a little bit thin. Yeah. Rubber seals for my air gun were mushed and mashed and all sorts of beat up. So I went and I put some leather seals on it because I don't have rubber seals right now to put on there because I can't find them. So I threw a bunch of leather seals on my air gun and I'm hoping it works. No guarantees. That's why I have black powder guns. Backups to my backups to my backups. I've got air guns galore. I've got black powder guns galore. I've got swords and knives and axes and all sorts of fun stuff. Do not own a single modern firearm. So yeah, if anybody out there is hiring gunsmiths for things like air guns and black powder guns, I'm your man. I'd be more than happy to pull a day shift at this point. I need another income. I can't just do this on freaking my security job alone anymore. And that's saying some shit because my security job is supposed to pay fucking really well. So, yeah, daytime. Anybody got a day job? You know, like what I said, air gunsmithing, something that I could be literally super focused down on to the point where I blot the world out. I can do that kind of job. I can't do dealing with people so much. Well, that's the thing, Fortune. I got plenty of leather to make air gun seals with. That's what the fucked up part of this is that it's literally this is what made those air gun seals with the leather. So I can't really use oil on them so much because they'll come apart. But there's already enough silicone oil, silicone grease or whatever that goes through the air gun itself that, you know, because you pump air in and you got to grease the joints every time you go and you pump air into it in order to make a good seal. It's going to push aerosolized oil through the entire apparatus. So I'll be replacing this after I go and I shoot that thing the next time. Oh well. No, I wish I had stuff to make a puck seal. I really do. Oh man, I wish I had a freaking right and proper stuff to make puck seals, but where's that other seal that I had? Here we go. This is one of the ones that doesn't really fit anywhere. It's just the kind of seals that I have to use. And so you can kind of see how the leather itself really, it goes along the same lines, same diameter. But in order to make this into this, I have to use that. Grease does not work well with that. No kind of oil works well with that. So it's mostly due to pressure that holds everything together. This is just to help the air get through the gap and keep pressure long enough, you know, make a shot. Have I ever shown you that, Fortune? Ever shown you that 50 caliber air rifle? Let me go get it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh shit. So this is an original 50 caliber air rifle from Sam Yang. And YouTube, so that we don't get any kind of screwy thoughts, it's empty, and that is an air dial. Okay, so now 50 caliber Sam Yang air rifle. This thing is gigantic, by the by. But I had to replace the seal here that goes in between the barrel and the action. There's a seal right there. And then there's also a seal behind this port here that keeps it sealed next to the threads. I had to make that seal too. But now that it's set and it's sealed and everything, it'll actually fire. And this is the air rifle, by the way, that took my wild pig. That's the one that took the 500-pound wild pig right there. Warren Keith style, or Keith Warren style. I It's the dyslexia, I swear. I've never thought about using um, silicon, silicon slow slime slash the goober stuff, the sealant. Never thought of it. Mostly because high pressure silicone grease tends to turn silicone seals into garbage. Um, all of these are natural latex rubber, in case you're wondering. They're automotive latex rubber seals. So that's how I have been maintaining it beforehand. I just don't have the seals anymore as I used them all up. I got to go get new ones. That's one of the seals that doesn't fit the air gun. So I that's why it's like that one looks fresh because it's fresh. It's never been used. Um, yes, that's true. But like I said, high pressure and silicone grease, especially penetrating silicone oils like I use for my air guns, it dissolves that stuff. And I did not know this. I found it out to my chagrin, actually. I was doing a tub seal, caulking a tub seal, and had some of that stuff on my fingers. And then I went later, and I wish that my buddy Lori was still around. We could ask him about this because he was there when I did it. I don't know if he noticed it, but I know that he was there when it happened. I had some silicone grease, or silicone, uh, the sealant stuff on my fingers. And then I was sitting there messing around with not this air gun, but my other air guns and my pump. And I was messing with that Hill air pump slime, and it just rubbed that silicone right off my fingers and turned it into grooge, like some sort of goobery, nasty, slimy stuff that it just disappeared as if it was turned into grease. So that's why I never really went towards using silicone schmoo to do the seals, but it's one of those things. It's just ABS plastic actually might work. Yes, that might work. Might. Again, certain plastics, certain types of rubbers that are, especially if they're silicone based, they tend to break down with that. Where are you from in the US of A? I was born in Torrance, California. When I was 6 months old, my mom and my dad moved from San Pedro, California, after our house got shot up by gang members having a street shootout, to Ogden, Utah. And for the next 11 years of my life, I lived in Ogden, Utah. Then I moved from Ogden, Utah with my mama back to Torrance, California. My dad followed us, sort of, moved to Riverside, and then I ended up, when I turned 18, or actually when I turned 19 and a half, because between that time I had tried to sign up with the Navy, and then I tried to sign up with the Army, and a whole bunch of shit happened and whatnot. Well, actually, no, I take that back. The Army was later. The Navy was first, and I fucked that up, and that's my fault. And I'm fine with saying that. But riding back and forth to San Diego was out of it was kind of out of the question. So anyways, 19 and a half, I moved to Riverside with my dad, and then we moved out to Blythe, California, and I lived there with him until 2019. Well, no, I lived there with him until 2016 when he died, and then I inherited both his job and all of everything else of his, and stayed there until 2019 trying to clean up the mess. And then I moved up here to Oregon, where I live now, which is in Vernonia. Anyways, so yeah, that's where I'm from here in the United States. What he said? ABS and acetone poured in mold. Positive mold. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, the ABS is a good. It is a good idea. I don't know if it would work or not. I have to look into it. And so, yes, I will do that in the future, I think. Um, no, I'm not good at making molds, by the way. I'm terrible at that. I'm good at schmooing shit together and being done with it. Shangri-La. How did you go with the Navy? So when I was 18, I tried to sign up down in San Diego in Coronado. It did not go well. I know everybody's heard the story about how, when you're in Hell Week, most people drop out because they break an ankle or they break an arm or they do something stupid. I broke my ankle. So, yeah. Everybody's heard the story about what's his name that did pretty much the same thing. Difference is he tried to go and then say that he was a Navy SEAL, whereas I know I was not a Navy SEAL. I was barely into BUD/S and hadn't even gotten that far in BUD/S and got wrung out. So never been a Navy SEAL. I wanted to be. After that, I went and I basically rehabbed for about a year, and then because living in San Pedro is fucking nuts. My dad tried to get me out of San Pedro, and I went to go live with him. And it just so happens that down the road from him is one of the hubs for the United States Patriot Army, at least at the time. I don't know where they are now. It's one of those like organizations that moves around a lot. Was originally based in Pennsylvania. That's why everybody knows them as the Pennsylvania Minutemen. But yeah, after I washed out, and I freely fucking fully admit I washed the fuck out. Okay? I want it to be abundantly clear. I was never cut out to be in the Navy SEALs. I wanted to be. It was my dream as a child. Never happened for me. Instead, I went with a different organization who operates completely within the United States, basically under the radar, basically still has to deal with the officials in some capacity. And so, yeah, there is that. But for the most part, just a civilian organization. They're not military in any other sense than they are trained by guys from the military. So I got my training from a Marine. Some guys get their training from Army. Some guys get their training from the Navy. Some guys get their training from, it just depends on who the guy is that's training the rest of the guys that day. So, I was a bog standard civilian and I got my training from a Marine or former Marine. I have to be clear about this. It's not ex-Marine, former. And for all intents and purposes, for the rest of you guys who are really nuts about that, he's a Marine. Anyways, that's basically how that went. I tried to be in the Navy and it didn't work out. I wanted to be. My granddad was a United States Navy Seabee. Lieutenant Commander John James Price Sr. It's my granddad. So, there's a reason why I wanted to be in the Navy SEALs. Did not work out for me, as I said. I moved on. I went and I became a Minuteman. I operated from California to Florida. I operated from the southern border to Prescott. Pretty sure I was to Prescott, Arizona. That's the kind of breadth and length of the nation that I was my operational center. So, any regrets from my 20s? Any regrets from my 20s? This motherfucker. Oh, Lord. My 20s were nothing but regrets. Oh, man. If I wasn't fighting, I was getting drunk. And if I wasn't getting drunk or fighting, I was fucking. So, you know, as far as it goes, yes, but no, but yes. I didn't really advance my life in my 20s. It was more of whatever mission came along, do the mission, and in the meantime, entertain myself. So, yeah, that's for my any regrets from my 20s. I didn't invest in Bitcoin. I don't know. When I was 20, Bitcoin was just coming out. So I've had several security jobs since my 20s. I started off working as contracted armed security for Advanced Mold Technologies in where is it? City of Orange. The Countenance of Bo. If you guys know what the City of Orange and the Countenance of Bo is, that's a very small part of the City of Orange in Los Angeles, or I mean not Los Angeles, in Riverside County. Or no, Orange County. My bad. My apologies. Orange County in California. Bo used to be an unincorporated township just outside of the City of Orange, between City of Orange and Carbon Canyon. And I worked there as my first security job. I was given the contract because it was the XB-178 contract for, they'd been given the XB-178 contract at AMT, and they needed somebody as security, and it just so happened my dad was their master machinist, and my dad said, you know what, my son is one hell of a fucking shot, and he's actually not too shabby, you know, when it comes down to doing things like security. He's smart, he's very observant. Only thing that he really needs to do is get his guard card, you know, and he could be your security guard. Oh, and he's also a Minuteman at the time, because I was 21 at the time. So, this is after a couple of years of just, odd jobs stringing shit together. Because as a Minuteman, you have to provide everything for yourself. You have to work outside of normal parameters. You are your own logistics crew, things like that. I would advise, wow, as someone in your 20s, build your life. Don't build my life. Don't build your mom's life. Don't build your dad's life. Don't build your granddad's life, or your brother's life, or your sister's life, or your best friend's life. Build your life. What is it that you want to achieve? Not what is it that made my life the way it is now to where I'm comfortable. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be? And then work towards that goal. If that means that during your 20s entertaining yourself is a good idea, then that's a good idea. For me, it was actually what kept me out of prison, because most of my friends ended up in prison. My brother ended up in prison for a while because he did not entertain himself. He went out looking for entertainment. There's a difference. I never looked for a fight in my life. I never looked to be the problem. I never looked to go and start shit. But when it came down to it, I was never running away. I've never been to prison. And to your point, if you don't help yourself first, you can't help anyone else. In fact, you're a burden to everyone else. If I would have not entertained myself during my younger years, trying to keep myself out of trouble, I'd probably still be in prison. Just because that's my disposition. I do not brook bullshit from anyone. And I mean anyone. My mom has tried to lie to me in the past, and it did not work out for her. My dad used to always sit there and try to bullshit me, and it did not work out for him. My uncle, honest as a fault with me. It's one of the only redeeming qualities I can say for him, because he was honest. He made one hell of a faux pas that I just wouldn't. I'm never going to tell you that you may not have a gun, and that you should never have a gun, and that people like you should never have access to guns. I'm never going to say that. If you're stupid enough to be the kind of person who gets outraged at bullshit and then goes and grabs a gun to settle your issues, then you deserve what comes of that. Not to be disarmed, but whatever comes of it. That's the way I look at it. My uncle looks at it as, oh, well, I voted to make it so that people like you can't have guns. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, people who are misdiagnosed as being psychotic because they have learning disorders and then are drugged to their absolute limits of existence, and then the side effects from those drugs are counted as actual symptoms of a larger problem rather than just side effects of the drugs. That's why I had so many issues growing up. By the time I was 21, I was having to do my security job with a fucking air pistol, which is why I got away with a lot of shit that not everybody can. So there's that. So what's my advice for in your 20s? If you think something is a retarded ass investment, but it's cheaper than dirt, invest. It's better to lose out a little bit of money than to sit there and be like, well, I could have spent $20 and been a fucking multi-trillionaire. I mean, yeah, that's what I mean by what I say. I regret not fucking investing in Bitcoin back when it was cheap. I had $20 to go and throw at Bitcoin, and I was like, fuck it, no. Because I don't trust electronics and all that shit. But yeah, if you've got something that is a super uber cheap stock or an uber cheap freaking what have you, if it's less than $20, invest in it. You never know, and you're not going to be that butthurt if you lose $20 on it. Really, you're not going to get butthurt over that. Fuck it, it's $20 versus I'm a multi-trillionaire. Yeah. There is one other regret that I have, but it wasn't from my 20s. I fell in love with a crazy girl when I was living out there in Blythe, and because I was jaded already from having proposed marriage to a woman who fucking cheated on me, I'd never proposed to her, and so she kind of thought of it as, oh well, it's just fringe benefits. And I moved up here, and she stayed there. So that's a regret that I have, but it's not from my 20s. Not running away when the guy came to go and break into my brother's house, and tried to kill me. There's a regret. Hindsight 2020, right? I should have run away, but instead, I'm red, white, and blue. These motherfucking colors don't run, son. So, yeah, anyways, that's why I have a security job in the first place, is because anyone who has ever employed me to be a security guard knows I'm not fucking running away. If something is supposed to be scary, it makes me mad. I get mad at horror films. I sit there and I'm like, you fucking retard. Instead of, I understand why you're scared and, all this other shit going through my mind, and just be like, hug my fucking significant other close. No, for me, it's just, I literally shout at the TV screen, you fucking retard, turn around and bolt them in the mouth. Fucking pussy. I don't register fear like everyone else does. So I don't run away from danger when I really should. And I recognize I really should. It's just one of those, I don't want to. I'm not running. Fuck it. What happens, happens. Fuck it. And that's why I make a good security guard, because I don't run away. It's never been one of my strong suits to run. I've also not always been a great fighter. I'm relatively okay for, the fact that I've been training since I was 8 years old, and mixed martial arts and all that fun stuff, but I'm not that great of a fighter. I know enough to be able to hold my own. That's not why I don't run. When I get scared of something, I get pissed off. So when somebody makes me mad, I get mad. When somebody makes me scared, I get mad. Basically, all you're doing is making me mad. So yeah, that's what makes me a good security guard. My other regrets in life, not buying a 3D printer 10 years ago. God, I feel like a retard. Now, I can't get a fucking 3D printer. I've been trying for the last 6 months. I've been really trying hard. I will either end up having to rob a bank or twisting somebody's arm off and beating them with the wet end in order to get a fucking 3D printer at this point. So it's not going to happen. And I really do need one for the project I'm running. But again, I'm not a bad craftsman, so I guess I could make things work, make ends meet as far as that's concerned, and still figure it out. It's just that a 3D printer, I'd have been done already. If I had a 3D printer, I'd have been done with that project already, and I'd be sitting there knocking on Pete Hegseth's door going, "Hey, buddy, I want you to take a look at something. This right here is a railgun that actually fucking works." Anyways, fun shit, but until I actually get together all the things that I need to make it, I'm just talking about it. I mean, that's the other thing that I did as a child, other than being infatuated with the United States Navy SEALs, was I was what they call a physics prodigy. I was doing complicated calculus for physics and chemistry when I was in the 4th grade. So I've actually, I do all the mathematics and stuff in my head, write it down on a piece of paper, then run dozens of simulations, and then come back and fix everything that was not fixed. And then I come back later and I'm like, okay, well, this will be something that I'll build. And then I start prototyping. I've gotten all the paperwork done, but I don't have the stuff to make the prototype. So again, I wish I would have bought a 3D printer. But when I say that I am a craftsman, I want to point something out to you. I'm a craftsman. This is the sword I made in a earthenware forge with my own hands, a hammer, and an anvil. I'm not a slouch when it comes down to making shit. I just have to I have to do a lot more work in order to get the same result. Anyways, it's been an hour and 30 minutes, bruh. Y'all got me talking extras. I don't know if that was you there at that day forging or not, but if it was, you've held this. There's one feller that I know of that's actually, other than me, I mean, and my little sister and my mom, that have held this sword. And they can attest to the quality of workmanship. Only one other person. Well, no, I take that back. Two other people. And those two people were there at the same time. So there's that. This sword right here. Yeah, that's the proof of my ability to actually make things. That and like this. I made that. So yes, making rail gun is a whole different fucking bag of cats, but I make my own gunpowder. I make my own freaking caps for my black powder guns. Melt my own lead for my own projectiles. I mean, do it. Vanessa River Rose. Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, tell Steve I'm doing great, man. I'm still alive. Yes, LinkedIn profile does resemble a wakizashi. However, the actual handle construction and the historical factor to it, it's a hanger. It's a hand and a half hunting hanger. So where the balance of the sword is right here. Let's see if I can get this. It's right there. Okay. That's the balance of the handle on the sword. A wakizashi, the balance is here. But here is where the balance is on this sword. And as you can see, I'm not holding the other end now. Okay. This is a saber, a small saber. It's actually the way that the word is said for something that's small like this is a saber. It's really hard to hear the inflection in my voice, but I'll try it again. A saber versus a saber. Okay, there's a very minute difference in the way you say the word. There's a huge difference in the sword itself. A hunting hanger is what, Americans used to carry in the colonial days rather than carrying a full-size saber or a pioneer sword. The French pioneer sword. This was the English version of that, or the American version of that. So, really heavy, thick blade. All right. The spine on this thing's a pipe spine versus the French has a sawback. This is a pipe spine. So, yeah, the wakizashi is much better utilitarian. It's faster. It's got better balance per se in a one-handed sword. But again, a wakizashi, the balance zone of a wakizashi is out here in the blade, whereas the balance of this sword is right here. I mean, it's literally right at the hilt. I wish that I could get this perfectly in the camera for you to understand that that's where it's balanced on my thumb here. That's the balance of the sword. It's literally right there. So this is a fencing sword. It's not made for like a wakizashi is, that made for short, in-depth cuts and slashes and stabs. This is made for riposte, molanier, and pirache. So yeah, that's what this is really generally made for. A good pirache is, a clip. That's a pirache. All right, where you make a clip with the sword. A molanier is a roll of the sword around. Okay, that's a molanier. And then you've got your hacks, your slashes, your flashes, your scragging. This sword will actually scrag. I'm surprised at it. By the by, this sword will scrag. I've never seen swords that were good at scragging, but this one will scrag. By the way, if you don't know what scragging is, that's where you take the tip of the blade, flat on, stab in, and force forwards with the flat of the blade, opening a wide wound. That's what's called scragging. It's not something that's, normal parlance. So what's the other one? Molanier, pirache, riposte. So a riposte, that quick little flick of a block, riposte. Pirache, quick little clips, and molanier. And swing all the way around and come back. The hand barely moves, but the sword blade goes all the way around. That's what this sword's made for. It was actually built as a fencing saber, also known as a compé sabre, a sabre, a sabre, and a hunting hanger. It's a very short saber. So if you were wondering how long this is, I'm going to stick this here right in my armpit. And for reference, I'm 6 foot tall. That comes right to there on my arm. So kind of gives you an understanding, My arms are about, I have a 31-inch archery draw, which translates to, I believe it's 21-inch reach. So if I've got a 21-inch reach, this is a no, I've got a lot longer than a 21-inch reach. Holy shit. I just realized that. I need a freaking measuring tape all of a sudden, like. Oh! I am getting too fucking old. I'll be 40 in a year, damn it. Of course. There it is. Tape measure. Woo! Let's find out how long this blade is, actually. Without ruining it, mind you. So the overall blade length is, to the true blade, it is 29 inches, 28 inches to true blade length. Adding ricasso, it is 43. Or no, sorry, I got that backwards. I'm reading the fucking centimeters. My bad. I apologize. To ricasso, it is 12 1/4. To full length, it is 17 inches. Yes, a lot of sabers are very front heavy, just like a cutlass. And you're absolutely right about that. That's one of the reasons why I don't like most sabers. They are too front heavy. However, a lot of hunting hangers like this and the French the French pioneer sword as well, they're really well weighted in the hand. Like I said, right about that same amount of balance in the spot, you know. So it's really well weighted in the hand. It's made for fighting. It's not made for. I mean, yes, you can hack right through a fucking tree with this thing. I do it all the time. I split firewood with this. That's what it's made for. Is for splitting fucking firewood. This sword was made to split firewood. I joke, but you get my drift. The way that the edge geometry is, it's actually built to make a good, quick little split here, pass across that gap in between the edge and the pipe back with no friction, and be able to go straight through. So yeah, it's built to actually split wood. A shaska. Now, there's a sword name I've never heard of. And honestly, I feel stupid for not hearing it, for not ever hearing of it. I mean, this is supposed to be as heavy as, at least, a true hunting saber, a true hunting hanger. All right, true hunting saber would be approximately this weight, maybe a little lighter, maybe just a little bit lighter, but it's mostly down to how thick the blade actually is. Because I know it doesn't look it here, but that furrow is really shallow. There's only probably about 20 thousandths, I'd be willing to say, depth in the middle of that furrow. And I decided to not put any runnels in it, so it's not going to be any lighter than it is. Yes, the Cossacks did know how to make a curve that was light in the hand. You're right. They did know their swords. That's true. So, Cossack, if that's what a shaska is, I, again, never heard that name before. I'm not as educated in all of that as everyone else is. I'm educated in it, don't get me wrong. I'm just, you know more than me on that particular. Yes, there you go. Nice to see you, Dusty. So, yeah, this right here, this is an American hunting hanger. The English hunting hanger was actually much, much thinner, to the point where it literally looked like you were walking around with a Chinese machete, almost kind of thin. This is more along the American side of things, or the French pioneer sword side of things, but it's the English or American style of hanger. So you've got the hatchet point, right? Very shallow hatchet point, full length furrow. Okay, the furrow goes right to the handle here. The pipe back on the actual spine here runs all the way down to here, which is the beginning of the sword point. And then you've got a ricasso from here to here. You can kind of see how that shows up in the light there. No matter which way I turn it there, you'll see that for that short amount of time that up to there, it's not edged, but there's edge all the way to here. And then sharp. Anyways, so it's a pretty fucking long sword. You got 12 what was it, 12 inches of actual blade. So yeah, try and get that to show up here. Right to there. And then as you can kind of see it, there, 12 inches. Okay. So 12 to 13 inches of blade. And then again, back on the tip. There's that 17 inches of actual sword. Okay. Overall length is 26 inches, 26 and an eighth inches. So, yeah. That is the hunting hanger that I made. Now, I know I've showed this gun to everybody in the stack before, but I wanted to show it off again. This is an actual black powder gun. This is my colonial, or not colonial, God, I feel like a dumbass for saying that. It's my Confederate cavalry carbine. So yes, that is a real Confederate cavalry carbine, by the way. Sized for somebody who's my age and my size. But I want to take and give you a little bit of a eyeball teaser there. And then also, another teaser of the eye, if I can get it to show up. There you go. Connecticut Valley Arms, Iron Mountain, made in Spain. And it's been remarked so that it could be fucking sold in America again and again and again and again. With black powder only and the serial number. Because if you didn't know this, black powder guns only have to be serialized to be sold after a certain date. So, yeah. While this is an original barrel, original hammer, original, and original, the stock is a remake, and the barrel has been restamped. Let me see here. It has the Spanish Trimark proofing mark here. There's the Spanish Royal Seal and the Trimark proofing mark. So those are proof that this is actually a Confederate cavalry carbine imported from Spain back in the day. And it's just been rebranded so many different times to be sold in America, in the American market. This is an all original ramrod, by the by. This is before the freaking gun was retooled and all that. This ramrod is 100% original parts, original all the way around. So that's like, this right here is actually older than the rest of the gun. At least the rest of the gun it's as old as the barrel is. I'll put it that way. That piece of walnut is as old as the barrel. So there's that. The stock is all brand new. It's been rebuilt. The hardware on it and the barrel, all of that is actually original. Well, I appreciate you, Dusty. Thank you for coming by. I honestly do. Oh, speaking of which, you want to talk about old guns? This one's a brand fucking spanking new gun. I know y'all have seen it, but there's Mariah. And that's a Remington New Model Army from Pieta. It is a repro. It's not like an original. This is what they call original gun. This is a repro gun. This is the repro of the 1863, by the way. There is a difference between the 1863 and the 1858, and a lot of people don't realize it. There's also a difference between the 1861 and the 1863. I have the 1863 and the 1861. Anybody who's ever seen Josephine up close and personal, that's an 1861. Remington New Model Army, not Colt. Even though Colt is known for the date 1861 or 1860 and 1863, they're known for those dates. This is the 1863 model. It's kind of one of those, what the fuck? You've never seen Josephine, have you? That's something else. Wow. Come here, Jody. Atta girl. This is Josephine. I'm going to put them next to each other just so you can kind of see and understand in here. Okay? There's Josephine, that 1858, 1861, and 1863. Can you tell the difference by looking at them? Just a few small subtle differences, but it's fucking obvious. This is Josephine. This is Josephine. So, just so we're clear. Difference number one. Difference number two. Okay? And then I'm going to show you difference number three, and it's going to blow your mind. Because very few people know this about the difference between the 1861 and the 1863. So, the 1863 Let's see it. A very subtle fucking difference, but it's one of those ones where it's like the moment that you see it, you'll be able to tell the difference. (1861 versus 1863). And you can actually look this shit up on Mike Bellevue's channel as well. He did a whole video on this. What is it? I know it has to do something with the trigger mechanism thing, trigger guard. On this particular model, doesn't seem to show up. This might have been trying to go off of a transitional, but they're both repros, so it doesn't really show it 100%. Okay, for instance, 1863, 1861. If you look right here at what they call the boss, that's this little portion right here in front of the trigger guard. The boss on the 1861 is just slightly longer. So, yeah, that's Josephine. What you are thinking of, I'm pretty sure, is actually, I think it's Bertha. Bertha Big Booty Gun. This is Dixie right here, by the way. Y'all didn't remember. That's Dixie. Oh, let me go grab Bertha. Oh, boy. Ooh, shit. Mm-hmm. Hey. Bertha, Big Booty Gun. That would be Bertha right there. My Hawken. My Hawken Woods runner, my Southern Woods runner. As you can tell, crescent on the stock. That's a Southern crescent. And of course, CSA. But anyways, Southern crescent on that stock. And yeah, missing the freaking nipple. I did something with that. I don't remember what I did. But you know, this big old girl, she don't like to shoot all that much. Bit of a goofy ass gun. This one is a Thompson Center. Unlike most of the rest of my guns that are like they're top tier kind of guns or they're middle tier guns, this is a bottom tier gun. But Bertha is she's the bottom tier gun. Kind of like. Yes, my cousin Trish sent me that because I guess he was like, yeah, you need some freaking brass hardware, and I was like, yeah, I do. And so he sent me the CSA, the laurel wreath for a colonel, or was it a colonel or was it corporal? I can't remember. At this point, my brain, it's been a while. Anyways, so it's got the laurel wreath, it's got the CSA, and it's an officer's emblem. This was normally supposed to go on the shoulder of your coat or on your belt buckle. It wasn't supposed to go here. This was more of the thing that went if you ever seen Dances with Wolves, where they're walking through the corn stalks, there was one fella that had this on his gun, but it was silver. That's what they actually used to do. They had a silver one for the back ends of the CSA guns. Anyway, so there's that. This is Bertha. So as far as it goes, we got in the lineup here, real quick, you got Sam, Bertha, Dixie, and then down below, of course, that down there is Fanger. Here. Fanger. It's actually got a name now. This is Fanger. So there's that. And then, of course, you got, Josephine, a stupidly long-barreled pistol. And then my EDC, which is, funny enough, is my other cap and ball gun. And I've had people call me absolutely batshit crazy for carrying that. And I look at it as it's only crazy if it doesn't work. And it works. Oh, and that's the other thing. I have gone to utilizing these quite a bit rather than regular caps. So I'm not shooting a antique per se. Sort of. That's another thing. Folks have been telling me that, oh, well, you can't shoot big bullets out of a black powder gun. They're only made for shooting round balls, a very specific type, and you got to do it a very specific way, and it's got to be that way. There are 3 slugs and 3 oversized round ball in that one. When I say oversized round ball, talking 50 caliber round ball. And I do not suggest that you do this with your guns, by the way. In fact, I suggest against it because it's possibly harmful to your gun. But I take the round ball, 50 cal round ball, place it on there. There it is. There. Take a hammer and pound the damn round ball into the hole. Oh, Lord. Anyways, so I pound the round ball into the hole. Then I take that big ass thick fucking lead ring and I remelt them into full-size slugs. And that is my defensive loadout for large, dangerous animals. 30 grains of black powder, my 3F black powder that I make, and a 260 grain lead flat nose. Lead flat point. Holy fuck, it's coming out there, man. Hey, God, when are you going to go and sew that pool bottom up? Just asking for a friend. The furry one that's sitting outside there going, fuck, man, why don't you let me in? Because you're covered in mud, love. That's why. Anyways, So yeah, I take the tins you kind of find on tea lights, like so. Okay. Tea light candle. That tin, you cut the stripper off around the outside, and that gives you this. You flatten this out, cut it into little tiny lengths, and that gives you, here, I'll just make one for now, so people can see what I'm talking about, and then I'm not talking out of my ass. Apparently, I don't have my scissors. Blaine, you're a jackass! All right, so take a section of that metal, about yay long, that metal foil, and a cap mold, and your cap die. Press cap around there. So you've already got the starter. Push it through the mold. Pops cap out on the other side. Take a small pistol primer. Put it in the primer pocket. Down to the bottom there. Kind of just cinch everything up, make it nice and happy. Motherfucker. I said cinch it up and make it nice and happy. Thank you. And then make sure everything comes together nicely enough. Trim the excess off the bottom. Of course, I don't have my... This is a problem. Now, I do need my scissors. I seen something. There we go. Take your scissors and trim the bottom flat. And there you go. You have a cap that's been primed. That is the fastest I have ever made a cap. Y'all have seen me make it with my own homegrown stuff. It takes 20, 30 minutes to make a fucking single yellow cap. This took 5 seconds. This is how I'm doing it now. The best caps I've ever had, honestly. I've never used the regular standard from the store caps, but you know, if I had the opportunity and the option and the willingness to deal with the extra BS, I'd do that. As it stands, I carry, it's my carry load out, by the by. It's 2 spare cylinders here. And then extra caps. So these are the old school blackjacks. Y'all remember these ones? That one's got a cartridge. That one's a primer pocket cartridge. That one's a blackjack cap. Y'all remember those pieces of shit? Takes 20 minutes for me to make one of them fuckers. Rather than that, let's make a bunch of freaking CCI specials, and now I ain't got to be sitting there for hours on end making caps. 20, 30 minutes, I got a full fucking set. Spare cylinders. I put those into one of these Hornady boxes. 2 cylinders and 2 boxes of caps fits in that. And then, this is the really cool part. And I actually gotta rearrange everything so you can see this. Because this is the really fucking cool part. You guys are gonna trip on this. I just made this like, I don't know, last week or the week before last. You see what I'm saying? I made myself a pouch out of leather just specifically to stick that in. So now I have 2 spare cylinders, a cylinder ready loaded, 2 boxes of caps in case this malfunctions, and all of that is on one side of my body, on my hip. I still have yet to make a new sheath for this, but y'all remember this little bundle of joy. I carry that with me everywhere. So, no, buck 120. Need to make a new sheath for it because, yeah, this sheath, the squirrel skin's starting to chew through. But yeah, I got all sorts of fun shit. Put this in with my other caps since I've already made one. Already made it. When here, yeah. So since I made it, and I don't want caps floating around my house or around the house, my house. I gotta keep reminding myself every now and then. Not my house. I just work here. Anyways, so right there. Two spare mags in a box. You know what they say, if you throw all your shit in the box, well, you'll have all your shit in the box. It'll all be in one place. What do you know? I've got too much shit though. Anyways. So yeah, I got oodles and gobs of fun for myself to deal with. I will be doing a shooting video soon, I hope. Been working towards that like crazy. I've got this dual, like I was showing y'all, the dual source black powder charcoal. That's actually sorted powder now. Oh, that reminds me. I don't think I've ever shown this on video. I have screens for separating black powder. This one's homemade. Yes, I am going to make a shooting video, I promise. All right, I'm trying not to be an asshole and try to leading you on or anything like that. I'm actively trying to make it to the point where I can make a shooting video for y'all. But meantime, wanted to show y'all some that you can do this shit at home. That is aluminum screen. You can buy it at any hardware store. And if you take the aluminum screen and you pull it tight, it makes the screen shrink up. So instead of having that really wide opening on the screen, you just pull it taut, and now you've got that really fine screen mesh in order to get things like 3F black powder. And if you're smart enough, and you're like me, you know how to do it twice. So that things become a better screen. So yeah, this is the Hornady XTP box that I had. Any old box will do. You could use a fucking cereal box or whatever. You just need a box that you can shove another box into in order to hold everything tight. Because you'll notice that's really tight weave mesh, and it's actually spring loaded in the bottom of this. So I'm pushing down on it right now to get everything settled, but it keeps on pushing itself back up. That's the purpose of this box. This box I turn over so that it's that end down. Seat that sucker in there and compress it. Now, that screen isn't going to come apart. I can sit there and beat on it. Well, relatively speaking, I'll be gentle with it, but because if I push really hard, it's going to... Sorry. If I push really hard, it's going to go right through, but, you could kind of beat it up a little bit. It's not going to do too much. So, but yeah, there's that kind of hard to see through that screen there because it's such fine screen mesh. That's number 3F. That's how I get my 3F powder. My 2F to 1F, this is both 2F and 1F separation. Either one of these could do the same job. Basically, where's my 1F? There we go. This is 1F powder. I want to show you how big these fucking granules are, man. These things are giant. That's a fucking single grain of black powder. Let me get some more light on the subject so you see what I mean. That's 1 grain of black powder, 1 granule. That thing is massive, man. That's 1F. You know what I'm saying? That's 1F black powder. That shit is freaking massive. And then, there we go. There's the 3F. This is going to be fun. Oh, try not to spill it because this is the hardest fucking work I've been doing. All right. So you can kind of see it's pretty fine, actually. Whoa. Try not to spill it. Because, yeah, this flow is really easy. You can kind of see that. Let me see here. With the camera. Get a good camera angle on it so you can see. That's 3F. And then I'll show you the 4F powder, and you guys are going to be like, wait, that one looks like 2F powder instead of 3F, and the other one looks like black confectioner sugar. So here's some 4F for you. And still got some 3F at the top, but it's all right. It's kind of an idea. That's how fine those little granules are. It's really, really, really fine. It's like, that's 4F. It's so fine it literally stains my hand. So yeah, this is the smallest powder I make, the finest powder I make. That's 4F. The 3F, you saw that. I'll do a little. Show you guys the difference between the powders here. 1, 3 there, 1F, and 4F. Oh boy, I hope I don't spill anything because I'm lots of stuff sitting really precariously here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you guys the difference between the three. Whoa. Trying not to mix them up. Damn it. Too much of the 1F mixed in with the 3F. That's a real great one. All right, so there's your 3 different standards there. See if I can get you a better there. No. Better. You can pretty much tell which one's 3, which one's 4, which one's 1. Kind of gives you an understanding of the differences in my powder and why stuff burns a certain way. And yes, I do make actual black powder, just not ball mill version. In fact, funny enough, I've got the spoon mill filled right now. There's 3F. This is 4F. F. And that's 1F. Okay. Spoon mill. You guys didn't know what a spoon mill is? This is a spoon mill. How do you mill powder when it's only just in a bowl? Duh. Add that a little bit every now and then just to make it so that it doesn't dry out. Because I don't want it to dry out. I actually want it to be semi-moist. Because as long as it's semi-moist with that alcohol, any moisture in the air that gets sucked up by the powder will get dragged off by that alcohol and then pushed off into the atmosphere or squeezed out when I puck it. So this is literally unpucked, milled black powder. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's been mixed together well enough that it's actually milled. Okay. All right. You do not need a ball mill to make black powder. A bowl and a spoon. Anyway, it has been an absolute hoot. Thank you all for coming out. I'm thinking I'm going to end it here anyways, Dusty. So thanks for keeping me an extra hour here. I'm going to go and have me a cigarette because I went and I bought cigarettes, so I might as well have a cigarette. And y'all be good. And hopefully we will see the end of all of this bullshit. And the day will show up brighter. It's been guardsmanom134. Motherfuckers. I'm out.